Where were you born?
In Colorado.
And what was life like when you were growing up?
Well, it was a lot of fun, very strict. I was an only child, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh, what? You were only child?
Only child, yes. And so was Dean.
Oh, really? How did you meet Dean?
Well, we went to college in Greeley, Colorado at Roger Williams Fellowship, which was a college get-together, and that's how we met.
And so did you graduate from there?
Mm-hmm.
What did you study?
Oh, I had a teaching degree because I taught school.
How did you become a Christian?
When we were going together, and I started out as a Lutheran, and he was a Baptist, and so I think it was the year after we were married or something like that, is when I was baptized back in Colorado. In the Baptist church. Young people. Well, that's a good question. With what you're doing, get your education, and go to church, grow up in the church, and help people.
What do you think the role of the church is? You know, like what should church look like?
Minister to people. Minister.
How long have you been going to First Baptist?
Since about 1978.
Oh, wow.
We started out over on a very little tiny church over there with Roger Jump, which you guys don't know.
Yeah, so you've seen a lot of pastors, huh?
A few of them. Yes.
What verse or Bible story gets you through difficult times, or is just your favorite?
Oh, always John 3:16.
Why?
I think that's the one I grew up with, that my grandparents taught me, and I just learned it, and that was something we had to do, and that was one I did do in the Lutheran school. We did do that one.
I was born in the Ozark Mountains of Arkansas, northwest Arkansas. It was a little town called Green Forest out in the country. Pardon?
How did you become a Christian?
I was 12.
Did you?
My grandfathers were both very, very religious. They didn't like each other, but one of them believed in predestination and one didn't. And anyway, so I sort of grew up on religious controversy. But I just assumed that I was a Christian because I'd always gone to church all my life. And one night during the invitation, the girl next to me leaned over and said, "Are you saved?" And suddenly I knew I wasn't. And so every time they sing that "Just As I Am," that Billy Graham likes so much, that I would feel that urge to go down, but I was very, very shy. People don't believe that now, but I was. And the pastor's wife understood what was happening to me, and she said, "If you want to go down, I'll go with you." And that gave me the courage to go down. And I was so out of it. I went down and I got down on my knees on the mourner's bench that we had those days. And some deacons came to attend me, and they asked me why I was there, and I couldn't say a thing. Finally, they said, "Are you coming to be saved?" And "You see what I'm drawn to this church?" "You want to be baptized?" So they announced to the rest of the church that I had made my decision. Well, I think John 3:16 would have to be my first Bible verse.
Advice for young people?
Always be open for information and for God moving in your life.
I'm Joanne Howell. I was born in Nebraska and grew up there. For 25 years I was there. And then went on after I was married.
So how did you become a Christian?
I became a Christian when I was 13 or 14. I had gone to church all along with my mother because she was teaching in Sunday school. Ended up 50 years. But I was shy too. And I decided we had a new pastor that came in. I really liked him. He had been a missionary in China, and I was really.
What's a favorite Bible story or Bible verse?
I think Jonah and the whale. I heard so much today over TV about that, how he resisted the Lord to go to Nineveh. He wouldn't go, and so he ended up being eaten or taken in by the whale.
What advice do you have for young people?
Well, I think the young people should keep in there, going to church all the time, being a part of all of the groups. You learn so much, and you have a big group of people to be with that are religious and good morals, all of that. And that's how I met my husband. He finally, when I was I was a freshman in college, and he came to visit at our church. And I found him sitting there playing the piano. And of course, that interested me, and then from then on, we went together. And
It's the same as Ben.
And mine's Maddie. Maddie Chastain.
You want to go first?
Oh, I was born in the state of Mississippi, a little town called Chunky. I'm always kidding about anybody from Chunky, Mississippi.
That's a chunk, huh? Well, I was born in a dry, dusty corner of Oklahoma, where there wasn't anything. I was born at home, as they used to say in those days. Your best memories of the church?
Going to the youth groups,
Oh.
you know, not necessarily of just like going, having a lot of fun, but the getting together and talking about the different experiences and all, and that was always interesting to me.
Well, always being in church, there are more stories to tell, but I'll just give one. I'm in the Army in World War II at a base outside of town. And what you did in those days, you got passed on Sunday morning and you went in town to look for a church, because that's where you found the girls in those days. And that's where I found my future wife, which we were married 54 years.
Well, that's wonderful.
What advice do you have for the young people today?
Well, I try not to try to give them any advice, because I know they won't follow it.
Oh. Well, I disagree. I think the young people are seeking advice. They've got a future, and it looks like a big challenge, and they'd kind of like to listen to someone who's been there and done that.
Well, you were probably right, that sounds.
Well, God is the only way. That's my
Yeah,
advice.
that's true, that's true.
Your favorite Bible verse?
For God so loved the world.
Mine too.
Is it? That he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
No, there's a second one. It's kind of like, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel.
Right.